Have you ever been alone, maybe in a room, quiet room, it's real dark, or maybe not real dark, but quiet, and then suddenly you sense that you're not alone, that there's someone or something there watching you, but there's no one there, in a physical sense anyway. I want to tell you what happened to me on a Trans-Columbia. I'm the Saipan sailor. Stay tuned. This is Chapter 5 of the Tramp. I don't know if we were headed east across the Pacific or headed west back to California. Doesn't matter. I don't remember. But one night, I was laying in my bunk after watch, half awake, semi-conscious, Now the bunks on this ship were situated thwartships, port and starboard, in other words, left and right. On modern ships, all the bunks are always port or fore and aft, which front and back. So on this ship, when the ship rolled, I was like this, okay? Whereas on the newer ships, you're like this, and you're not moving as much. Back then, I didn't care. I mean, I never got seasick. I had ear surgery in 1995, and it screwed up my equilibrium, and ever since then, I started getting seasick. But back in the early 80s, it didn't bother me. I actually preferred to have my bunk thwartships. Now that ship was a heavy lift ship, meaning it had huge booms, and they were big. So that ship was always top heavy, whether we had cargo or not. I think this particular night, we must have been headed to the Far East with that load of telephone poles, because I didn't realize how close to the water line my room was. Our rooms were below the main deck. Now, the air conditioner, it crapped out. They had it running when we made those 2 trips to Europe, but those engineers quit. We got a new batch of engineers, and this first assistant was totally useless. Was called out of retirement, didn't want to do anything. Was never even down in the engine room. I never seen him. And I offered it. I said, look, I'll help you. Can you just fix it and get it running? But he wouldn't do it. So we had fans. I had a fan in my room, but it wasn't enough. Right above my bunk was the porthole. And those old ships, the portholes were round, okay? So the window covering it was round as well. You unscrewed a dog and you swung it open. And I had my porthole open because they also had a scoop that you can slide into the opening, and it would protrude out as kind of a half-moon shaped scoop, and it would catch the breeze and bring it into the room. You get fresh air in the room, and that was pretty nice. Well, this one particular night, and let me tell you, these ships, when they rolled, they pitched and they rolled, and I'm telling you, because it's top heavy, when it starts to roll to one side, it goes like this, and leans and leans and leans, okay, and just stays there and kind of hovers there. Now, if you don't have any experience and you're new, you may start freaking out thinking that thing's going to capsize. And just when you start thinking that, it starts to snap back to center line. And then it might hover there a little bit, and then boom, it's off to the port, okay? And then it might snap back this way, and then drop down and start pitching. I mean, it's literally insane. Well, the weather was fairly calm. It wasn't real calm. This one particular night, I'm laying there, and the ship took a roll to starboard, okay, which sent me back this way. And a wave must have hit the starboard side and right towards the quarter where my room was at the same time, because about 20 gallons of seawater came gushing through the porthole, and I got drenched. I mean, I was soaked. The linen, the mattress was soaked. I got up, took a shower, got some clothes on, took the linen off, put it in the linen locker, got a fresh set of linen, grabbed that mattress, went up on deck and tossed it overboard because I knew they had some spare mattresses in one of the rooms. They weren't new, but that mattress, when it dried, it was gonna stink. So I replaced the mattress, made the bed with the linen, crawled back in bed, and went to sleep. You know, when you're inebriated most of the time, you don't think about those things, and you know they just come and go. But another night, and this may have happened more than once on that ship, but I remember it happening one time when I was laying in my bunk. Okay, it was nighttime. And I started to feel like there was something there. You know, I couldn't really explain it. And it was like a growing presence. It just got stronger and stronger. It wasn't a physical presence because I'm alone in the room. And then it seemed like this dark cloud just came over the room, you know. I mean, it wasn't dark in color. Like I said, it wasn't anything. Didn't seem like anything physical, but it was kind of, I felt a sort of heaviness. There was something there that I just couldn't identify. And I laid still, okay? Now, I'm not sure, I don't remember if I heard any subtle noises. I may have, but you know, when you're on a ship long enough, you get to know every sound that ship makes. Steam hissing through the pipes, doors opening and closing, you know, people walking, talking in the passageway, every creak, every moan, every sound that ship makes is in the back of your mind. It's registered back there. It becomes familiar. But when you hear something that isn't familiar, you kind of want to know what it is. Well, maybe, I don't know, 15 or 20 seconds went by and nothing. Didn't feel a thing. It's like everything just disappeared. Now, again, I put it out of my mind, you know, because it didn't happen to me again on that ship, okay? But I have heard other stories later on in my years from other guys as I related that story. Very similar things happen. And always on an old ship, it's, you know, 35, 40, maybe 50 years old or older than that, but they have a lot of history. Now, similar things have happened to me, different times, different places, but I won't go into that, you know, because that's a lot to talk about. But that's something I won't forget. You don't forget things like that. So, as I mentioned in the last segment, ship came into California. I quit, went down to LA, got another ship 5 days later on a drunken binge. And that ship was an oil tanker. It was a Tramp tanker. It was owned and operated by Maritime Overseas, which was a good company back then. In its day, they had some good ships. That ship was called the Worth, but we named it the Worthless. Now, I'll talk about that in chapter 6, but before closing out this chapter, I'm going to say that that tanker is no longer the Worth. Sometime later, the Red Cross got a hold of it, and they converted it into what is now known as the Mercy, the hospital ship, which is docked in San Diego. Now, I got to see that ship every day because I was on a ship that was docked on the exact opposite side of that pier. That ship was the Curtis, which I had mentioned in chapter 5, which was originally docked at the same pier that I got off the Trans-Columbia on. You still with me? Probably not. So, chapter 6, let's take a trip on the Worth, because that ship is going to Singapore. I'm the Saipan sailor, folks. Clear skies and calm seas. And don't be afraid of anything that goes bump in the night.